Hello everybody, this is Carolyn Service. I am a Stampin' Up! Independent demonstrator, and I wanted to come show you this cute little Easter card that I've made. I am using a lot actually of retired product on this card, but I wanted to show you how that, for one, how to use a lot of your little scraps of designer series paper that you might have left over. I know personally I have lots more than I'll ever know what to do with, but this was the perfect card to use up a lot of little scraps of designer series paper. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So I'm also going to show you how to use these deckled circle dies to make the wreath, and I will be showing you several other projects that I made this week using the deckled circles. There are 14 circles in all. This is an awesome set of dies, and I highly recommend them. So be sure to come back this week and check to see some of the other projects that I make using the deckled circles. So for right now, I am going to take, I've already cut the ring out just so that I would remember which numbers to use. So I'm using these two. So from the center, it's the 4th and the 6th circle, and we're going to create this is the base for the wreath. And I simply took a piece of, it's hard to see white on white. Let me put this in here, see if this might be better. Oh yeah. I just took a piece of white, regular, basic white cardstock, and I should have brought that in so I could show you, but I didn't think of it. So then I just laid these on the white paper, ran it through my Big Shot, and then it creates this circle. Then the next thing I did was take the smallest of those two circles. Is that the one? I think I picked up the right one. Let's make sure. Yep. And I took white, so let's see, a piece of white basic cardstock measuring 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. Double check my measurements on that. That's right. And then I also have a piece of regular white basic cardstock that measures 5, on my camera, 5 by 5. So on these two pieces, now you can see I have already embossed this section. I'm going to scoot out just a little bit here. There, that's probably a little better. I'm going to show you how to do that. And so what I've done was I've taken, let me say this first, I found that experimenting with the embossing folders, it's a lot easier if you use a folder that doesn't require it to be directional. Like something with writing in it makes it a little bit more difficult. I won't go into the reason why, you'll just have to trust me. So I chose the brick, I think it's called Brick Wall. But anything that you have really that doesn't have any directional pattern to it would probably be what I would suggest using. So then I took my base plate number 1 and put my, now I know that normally you should run your folder through with the seam going through the cut and emboss machine first, but with this layout that's not a possibility to do. So I've laid it down with the fold, which I didn't mention, so sorry. You're going to score the 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. You're going to score it at 2 5/8. And then You're going to put it in your embossing folder so that the edge of the embossing folder is right at the score line. Put it on your base plate, number 1, and then put the number 4 plate on top, and then run it through your Big Shot, which I don't need to do because, as you could tell, I had already done it. I was making a lot of these all at the same time, and so I kind of got ahead of myself on some of the steps before I actually got around to the video. Please accept my apology for that. But then I took one that did not have the cutout already, so I can show you that. I put these two together. So there's about 1/8 of an inch, you see that border all the way around. And then I took my smallest of the two, what was that, the number 2, 3, fourth smallest die, placed it in the center of that card, and then put it through my Big Shot. Sorry, cut and emboss machine. I'm still working back in the old days. And then came up with this. Now, if when you do this, you get ready to put this back together again, and you've inadvertently put it together not the original way that you cut it out, you're going to see it doesn't quite match. No problem, don't get worried. It's just that you have this one probably turned around the wrong direction. Okay, so you're going to actually, as I said, take the smallest die face down. I would recommend putting a little bit of washi tape or something on there to hold it in place, because of the score lines in the paper, it does tend to want to kind of shift around. Also on this paper, being 5 by 5, your score line is going to be at 2.5 inches. Okay, I hope I haven't lost everybody with that. I kind of went out of order a little bit, but hopefully you followed along with that. And then you are going to, oh, I should also say this. If you prefer not to use an embossing folder, then you actually don't need this inside layer. The inside layer really is to cover up the embossing so that you'll have more room to write. So you can use designer series paper here instead of the embossed pattern. Here's a sample of what that might look like. Again, just using lots of different scraps. These scraps are super, super old. For any of you that have been around for a while, you might recognize them as being really, really old pieces of designer series paper, but I tend to not throw any of them away. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but anyway. And before I get too far, what I want to do is I've taken a piece of ribbon that measures 7.5 inches, and I'm simply going to attach that to the bottom of my card. Now, of course, you can attach this using several different adhesives. I tend to grab for Scotch tape when I'm adding ribbon in between two different layers, just so that I know it's not going to slip out later. Maybe my glue didn't hold, but you could also use glue dots. They would be an excellent choice. You could also use seal. I wouldn't recommend the mono-adhesive glue, or Tombow glue, or liquid glue, because especially if you're using the one without the designer paper on the front, it's thin, especially after you have embossed it. So I highly recommend using the tape, but you know, to each his own. You can use whatever suits your fancy the best. If you when adding the ribbon, you definitely obviously want to put it on before you add the centerpiece. Now, if you're using designer series paper here, instead of embossing it, you don't really need this centerpiece, but if you're going to do that, then I would highly recommend using the thick white cardstock for your base. And then we're going to turn this over. Now here you can use whatever adhesive again that you choose. Okay. I was struggling a little bit with that off camera, so I apologize for that, but I obviously didn't remember exactly what I had done when I made the sampler. So what I've learned is you want to line up your score marks together and put this down flat. And then close it. Okay. Now, if it doesn't exactly match up here, don't fret over that. That's not a problem. You're not going to see that anyway. But you do want your corners here to match up. Okay. All right. Live and learn, as my mother would say. Except she used to say, she lived to almost 100, and she used to really say, live and learn. I live a lot, but I don't learn much. And sometimes I feel like I'm following in her footsteps. All right, so we're going to put that aside for the moment. We're going to take out our ring, and we're just going to start adding some little Easter eggs. Now, what I've used to punch the Easter eggs, you can't really see that, is an old oval punch that we used to carry. It measures 3 1/4 inch by 15/16. Now basically you can use any oval punch that you have that's size appropriate, or die that's size appropriate. Unfortunately, out of all the dies that I own, this was the one that I found, or this actual punch was the one that I found that worked best for me. So I proceeded to punch out 11 little eggs from various designer series paper. I picked some pretty pastel, peach, purple. Those are my two main ones. And then basically I just started adding them to the ring. Now, when you do this, you're going to want to overlap them. So what I would suggest is when you add your first one, don't glue down one side real hard. Just kind of lay it on there and push down on one side. And then each one after that is going to just overlap slightly all the way around the card. And I need some music while I'm doing this, because this might take a little while. But I can't sing, so that's not going to happen. But just keep going around. Let's see, this one. And kind of try to space your colors. Like, so I'm sort of using purple, then like mostly white, then mostly peach, then mostly white, then the next one will be purple. So just sort of space out your colors. And I think that will give you the nicest effect. And I've got 3 more, so let's see. And actually, yeah, I used the back side of that one. That one there. And then this very last one is the one I was trying to explain. You're going to kind of tuck that one under the first piece that you laid down. Wait, get that. And just try to make sure that the wreath circle, your base, is covered. Okay, I think that works. Okay. All right, and then I also cut out, of course, oh, here it is, using an old die. Again, you could do ribbon if you don't have a die that's a bow, or you could just maybe freehand one, whichever works best for you. I think actually ribbon would look really cute there. Maybe the same ribbon that we used at the bottom here. You could do a small bow. So if you don't have a die that would work, don't fret, just use what you have. I'm a big advocate of using what you have, which is why a lot of times you will see me use especially retired designer series paper, because that's what I have. And I tend to use my new designer series paper for like where I need a big sheet of it, not just little pieces, but you know, do whatever works for you. Then I've also am using some of the tinsel gems. For reference, that item number is 161624. And I'm going to take one of the larger gems in the fresh freesia and put it right in the middle of my bow, like so. All right, then to add the wreath onto your card, you're going to want to put some glue around the opening, and then just match up your, so about right there. Oops, didn't push down hard enough because I want to make sure I've got it in the right spot on the back. Oh yeah, that looks good. Okay, so just match that up, the glue on the bottom of the wreath. I find it's easier to actually put the glue on the card itself and not on the wreath. And then I've also taken, again, an old set that I have, but I love the font in this, Happy Easter. And I'm going to take some glue dots and just put them on the back of my sentiment. And a third one right in the middle. And I'm going to add that right over the top of my ribbon. And then I'm also going to slide one under my ribbon over here just to keep it in place. Got a little wrinkled in there. There we go. And then that's it. So you open the card, you've got lots of room to write. It stands up really nice for display. And just keep in mind, this is, what is today, like February 12th, I think. And Easter is coming really fast this year. I think it's the end of, I should say it's February 12th, 2024. And Easter, I believe this year, is actually in the end of March. So you might want to start on your Easter cards a little early this year. Just to show you a few of the other cards that I used with that same idea. This is actually the first one I made. I pulled out an old design that actually had a wreath, and zoom in on this a little bit. And I liked this one better, but that one turned out cute as well. And then I showed you the one where I used the designer series paper. And if you do this one and you choose not to add an inside layer, make sure that you put your ribbon around your designer series paper before adding it to the front. Otherwise your ribbon's going to show on the inside of your card. And then the last one I made was using the paper pumpkin kit for December. And December, I think that's right, might be January. Boy, I'm just messing up everywhere today, but that's me, I usually do, so please excuse me. But this was, I thought, turned out really, really pretty. And so that was all of the samples that I made. I'll scoot back out again. Okay, and this one, and then of course this one that I just finished making. So I hope it gives you some cute ideas. This is called a Circle Wreath card, designed by Tammy White, I believe. And just a fun, pretty simple, and very versatile card. These, obviously all three of these were for Easter, but you could just add anything you want to the wreath, make it any type of card that you want. It could have little gifts around the wreath for birthday, or could have, I saw one of them that was tools from the Free Celebration Trusty Tools Designer Series paper, where they had put tools all around the wreath to make a masculine birthday card. So the possibilities are really endless. So have a play with this, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, by all means, please let me know. I will, just real quick, because I kind of in the beginning kind of skipped around a little bit. Your measurements for your base is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. The scored at 2 5/8 inches. The measurement for your inside is 5 inches by 5 inches, scored at 2 1/2 inches. And again, you don't need this layer if you're not embossing, but you might want that layer. If you don't use this layer, make this from the thick basic white cardstock, and that's pretty much all you need to know. The circles again were the 4th, look at that again real quick, right, the 4th and the 6th size deckled circles from the smallest. Again, try to use an embossing folder that doesn't have direction. And I think that's about everything. Wrap your ribbon around your card before you add the inside layer, and that way your ribbon will be hidden underneath that layer. All right. And again, another thing that you may want to know is I used 11 Easter eggs on my card. I don't know if that took both 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this bigger one, so you can tell it's a little bigger. Just tried a different size. Move these out of the way so you can see. So that one was a little bit bigger. I used the bigger circles, and it just caused a bigger wreath. So you can kind of play with that. The one thing you do want to remember, let's see if I have an envelope handy. Oh, I do not. When you get ready to put your wreath on your card, you want to make sure that it's going to fit inside your envelope. Gosh, I cannot believe I do not have an envelope handy on my craft table here anywhere. But you'll kind of understand what I'm trying to say. So put your card on top of your envelope. Make sure that this is not going to be too tall. With this one, it was too tall because I used a bigger circle, and so what I did was I cut the bottom off, so you can see the difference there. So just if you need to adjust from the bottom, and I think that's everything. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, my name is Carolyn Service. I've loved having you and sharing this project with you. I hope if you've loved it and you're on my YouTube page that you will just give me a like and subscribe so I can share more with you. Thanks for joining. See you soon.